What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome to the final Workbench update video for this 1/60th scale classic Timberwolf. It is a Smoke Jaguar classic Timberwolf, being that they're my favorite clan, and it is very much inspired by the Mech Commander 1 cinematic intro Timberwolf, and you could say to a degree Mech Warrior 3, because it had a very similar Timberwolf in there as well on some of the promotional art, which is a light gray with red, as you're seeing. So that's what we have going on here. This is 1/60th scale, a 3D print, and I'm really pleased with it. I think the print's fantastic in terms of the file and whatnot. I think the color scheme, while very simple, is very reflective of some of what Smoke Jaguar is about. Plus, as I said, it's inspired by cinematic cutscene stuff of a Smoke Jaguar Timberwolf from Mech Commander 1. So it's definitely in line with that. So it kind of works out there as well. But I'm calling it done. The leg is repaired. I had to basically figure out a way to glue this leg back together after breaking it by accident, more or less, from moving stuff around. But that was my fault. And we have a successful model. I am really pleased with this thing. So I was a kid in the 90s, and for a time, you could get from a company called ArmorCast, which still exists, a large-scale model of a Timberwolf, or an Atlas as well. But they had the Timberwolf that I was always looking at, and I never got it. They eventually stopped selling it, but for a time after that, it was pretty accessible to get for a decent price, and I had a chance at one point, but I let it slip. And so it's always been in the corner of my mind to have a big classic Timberwolf. Well, I call it classic now, but a big Timberwolf model. And here it is. So it's really cool to have that realized. Painted it up, like I said, in line with the Mech Commander look. It's because I really like that look. It's something simple, and I think it fits the classic design of the Timberwolf very well. If I ever get my hands on Smoke Jaguar decals, I will put some on the hull of the mech here on the torso area, but I just don't have access to them at the moment, so it'll just stay without a symbol, but that's okay. I really like this thing. It's simple. You're probably looking at this potentially going, I could do a better job, and you're probably right, but I really like the simple but effective color scheme. So yeah, we have the black tint of the canopy. I like that gloss. It makes it feel more like armored glass alongside the armor that's there. And I really like the base. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the base, but as I mentioned in a prior update, I was going to do this thing to make it look like it's in like a holding bay and secured by its feet for more stable transport, you know, like a warship or something. And I think that metallic effect contrasts nicely with the mostly non-metallic of the mech. And it doesn't pull your eye away from the mech. It doesn't make the mech detail lost by standing on the base. So I think it works out really nicely. And I'm really pleased with it. So no more Workbench updates for this guy. He's going to sit proudly on a shelf for display purposes. And I will eventually get started on the next mega project, which is going to be 1/60th scale as well. But it's a mega project because it involves a full star. Yeah, it's going to be a full star of shenanigans. And it's also going to involve, I believe now, this guy. This elemental, right here. I don't have his laser arm glued on yet. But the reason why I say I believe it's going to involve this guy as well is because if you stand him in between the legs here, I don't think that's a bad size representation of an elemental alongside a 1/60th scale mech, right? Maybe it's a little big, but I don't think it's distractingly big. Let me know in the comments. But I like it. Now I only have this one 28mm elemental, and obviously a point of them is 5. But I want to at least A, test out the scheme on this guy, and B, just have him as kind of like an accent piece with the rest of the actual project. And if that means eventually getting my hands on more, so be it. But in any case, that'll be fun to kind of test the scheme out a little bit on. And I think it fits. Like I said, let me know if you feel it's just far too big, but I don't think it is. All things considered, when you consider how tall and big an elemental warrior is, and then they put them in the battle armor, I think it works out to be actually pretty a-okay, but I could be wrong. So with that said, that's for another time. So as far as the workbench goes, I have some ideas, some offshoot ideas, in addition to, of course, the mega project, which is going to be the priority project. But I don't know when I'm going to get started on that truly. I have to fire up the 3D printer and start getting things going. But I will do a video for at least kind of like the plan of attack. It's not going to be a workbench update, but it'll be kind of like the plan for the mega project. And then once that starts happening, I'll do workbench update videos. So definitely alpha strike that subscribe button if you haven't already and you enjoy looking at models getting done, because you'll be aware of when I start doing that or other projects here. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the look overall, and what clan would you do something like this in? Let me know. Anyways, thanks so much for stopping by. If you checked out the workbench updates from part 1 to now, thanks so much. It's definitely been a lot of fun for me getting back into the swing of things, miniature related. Well, not so mini, I guess, but model related. And I really like this scale. It's a silly scale. Storing multiple things is going to be a problem, but I'll figure that out when I have to. Anyways, with that said, I'll talk more about the future mega project in its own video. For now, I'm just going to enjoy this guy sitting on a shelf looking all cool, because mechs are cool and the Timberwolf is definitely an iconic shape. So with that said, thanks so much. Take care.